Nick Nurse, welcome to Philadelphia. We are very excited to have you. You said upstairs in your intro presser that you believe this is a team that could play tonight in the NBA Finals. So when you made the decision to come here, what are those factors about this team that makes you believe they could still be playing at this point in the season?
Yeah, well, first-hand close-up look of playing against them, for sure. I think that the quality of the roster, the combination of Daryl and Elton, and I've known Daryl for a long time, and their track record for putting a roster together. Ownership is second to none, you know, as I did my research and all those things. But mainly, I think it's a chance to try and win it all. I mean, that's what coaches do. We get up every day trying to figure out how to get there to the end and be playing tonight, right? So excited. Thanks
Joel
for having
Embiid
me.
says that all the time, right?
Yep.
That's the ultimate goal, is to win it all.
Mm-hmm.
Joel is someone that you, as an opposing coach, perhaps did maybe the best job in the league of limiting over the years. How do you even go about conceptualizing trying to now activate what you were once trying to limit when it comes to Joel?
Yeah, I mean, first of all, like a lot of those things that we did, throwing everything in the kitchen sink at him, was done out of necessity, really. I mean, we were just trying to stop a really, really, really great player, and we would do something and he'd figure it out. We'd have to do another thing. And so the list got pretty long in the end, and it kept, you know, I think, again, to his credit, he kept figuring out things just scheme-wise to combat what we were doing. And then he started figuring out things skill-wise from year to year, too. So I'm glad I don't have to do that anymore and play against him, because it is difficult. And it is nice to have a player with that skill set and mindset. I would think he's a real competitor and all those kind of things, and I think he's hungry. That was another reason I took the job. I think this team's hungry. Yeah.
It's a team that had some iconic battles with the Raptors during your time there, for better and for worse. We think about Kawhi's shot, we think about Joel's game winner in the playoffs last season.
Yep.
When you think about the times that you played against this team, either those memories, or are there any sleeper memories that come up for you when you think about what it was like to face the Sixers?
First of all, I winced when you talked about his fadeaway. That seemed to bother me more than the one that went in. That's coaching for you, first of all. But just like I think in the 18-19 series, again, like once we got into it, maybe after Game 3, I just kind of remember taking the team into the locker room at the arena. We were practicing. It was here in town for Game 4, and just the list of like issues that we had. You know, like there's some really good players. We don't need to go through them all, but there was so many things we had to do for each guy, you know, starting at the top, obviously. And then there was things that we needed to do better offensively. And there was a pocket of things that we had to do just effort and energy-wise. And I just kind of remember that being like, whew, that's a lot. And that we had to do, because that was a very, very good team and an unbelievable series.
An unbelievable series, yeah. Indeed. You mentioned the guys that you had to work through. Tyrese Maxey wasn't one of them. Yep. But last year's playoffs in 2022, you had some effusive praise for Tyrese. You said he's the fastest guy out there by a mile. He's super fast. With those type of guys, that's usually their whole game, and it's not with him. He's also a great shooter with really great touch. Yep. A year later, he became a top 5 most efficient shooter in the NBA. He's gotten better. He's only 22. So what excites you about Tyrese today?
The getting better part. Like, that's a good synopsis what I said there. So it must have been fresh after he torched us for about 36 or 38 points or something. So yeah, so I mean, it was like, you know, it's kind of almost like the reverse of like the guy who was bigger than everybody growing up and just, you know, dominated at the basket. Like the little fast guys, even though he's not that little, but the fast guys just can use their speed to produce so much that they don't develop maybe other parts of their game or a well-rounded game. But I was just amazed at how like good a shooter he became. And then, you know, again, like he laid in at the front of the rim. Well, we had to do a lot of things to try to get there, and he just kept, you know, the touch was part. He just kept going further and further away and still making them. And it was just like, holy smokes, you know, what are we going to do here? And we really didn't figure out what to do very, very well. So, but the thing I like about him is good dude, right? Hard worker, loves the game, wants to get better, and has a ton of God-given ability, right? That's a pretty good combination of a guy that's gonna impact the team. Yeah.
Looking back on your career, we'll start somewhat recent and then get a little bit further back, but you've worked with Daryl Morey before. So can you tell us sort of the nature of your relationship when you were, for those that don't know, the head coach of the Rio Grande Valley Vipers when he was in Houston, what your dynamic was like then, and then what it's been like to stay in touch and reunite now?
Yeah, so I kind of went there as a reason to try to develop myself as a coach. They were heavy analytics before analytics was even fashionable yet, and so I kind of wanted to get in there and learn some of those things. When I interviewed for the job down there, he was like, "This is like going to be a total laboratory for you to try things," and that really interested me again to just try and improve. And that's not that easy to do. You need backing to kind of like say we're going to do this, and then everybody be like, "What?" And they say, "No, try it. Just see what happens. Or whatever." So that was good. And there was a lot of just collaboration away from that. Even I just remember like when the season would be over in Rio Grande, which is down there along the Mexican border, I'd go back to Houston and we'd sit in there all day watching basketball prospects or whatever, and just talking the game and how to do things. Like is there a better way to do things, or how good is this player, or how does he fit? So a lot of time together. Yeah.
A couple of decades prior to that experience with Daryl, you spent time internationally, you coached in college, you've had a plethora of stops, but it's been a while since you've had to start fresh after 10 years in Toronto, right? So what can you take from those experiences starting over and over again through your youth of coaching into this experience starting over today?
Yeah, so like just kind of like chronologically, like one thing I do know is that the first 6 months of taking a new job in the NBA is really something. It is really a whirlwind of intensity that I didn't really know when I got the Raptors job. So I was, I understand like, okay, here we go. Here we go. Like 6 months is going to be something. So that is a good experience to have been through. And just like all the other stops, I don't even know if this is your question or not, but was always just trying to learn stuff and try stuff and get put in so many situations of like, boxing one, or only having 6 players available for a game, or having a great team and all of them getting called up one day to the NBA and the D League and having to teach really fast. All those kind of things just add to an experience, and a growth experience. But like mostly it's how can you connect the team? How can you get them to play a little bit harder, right? Like just continually trying to experiment with how that can work. And I think that's really like 2 really huge things of winning basketball.
Away from the court, or I guess adjacent to the court, I'm told that you travel with musical instruments.
I used to.
You don't anymore.
Well, we're going to think about that.
You can bring them along with us. I don't see
I
a
used
problem.
to for sure. I don't know how we're going to do that going forward, but go ahead with your, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
I'm curious where that passion came from, how important it is to balance basketball with life, and what music sort of means to you.
Yeah, so just, my mother's side of the family was really musical. I'm the youngest of 9 kids, and we all had to kind of try to do something with music other than just play sports. It was a struggle for most of us because we really played a lot of sports. So, and just kind of now for me, it is total like my zone place, I guess. Play a little bit, I'll listen, whatever it is. We use it at practice to create energy. And I try to learn. It's kind of a stretching of create, your mind, so you can maybe hopefully some of that stuff gets stretched to be creative in my day job, right? Day, night, whatever job this is, right?
Awesome.
Yep.
That's awesome. And hopefully you'll get embedded in the Philly music scene because there's a good
for
one.
sure. Can't wait.
Last question, I promise.
It's okay.
You said in your intro presser that you don't vibrate in the frequency of the past. Clearly you've learned a lot from your past. Understanding that we're not vibrating in that frequency though, what do you think the future looks like for this Sixers team? What do you hope the future looks like while you're here?
Well, I really kind of mean that, like incredible tradition here, but it doesn't really have to do with what we're trying to accomplish next year, right? Good or bad, right? There's a lot of great tradition here, and then we're in this little second round thing that everybody wants to talk about. It doesn't even like enter my mind, right? Like I'm just trying to figure out how we can get this team to play its best basketball when it really matters. I don't think last year or the year before, 10 years before, 20 years has anything to do with that.
Awesome. Well, we look forward to
Okay.
watching that future with you.
Thanks
Thank
a
you
lot.
for your time.
Yep, you got it. Anytime.
Appreciate it.
All right, thank you.